New boss eliminated my entire department after 18 years without notice. The email notification on her phone buzzed at precisely 8:47 a.m., just as Margaret was settling into her usual routine of reviewing the day's schedule. 18 years she had spent building her career at Caldwell & Associates, rising from an entry-level assistant to the senior coordinator of what was once a thriving department of 15 dedicated professionals. The subject line "urgent company-wide meeting" sent a ripple of unease through her stomach, but she dismissed it as another corporate reshuffle announcement, something they'd all grown accustomed to weathering over the years. As she made her way to the conference room, Margaret couldn't help but notice the unusual silence that had fallen over the office floor. The familiar hum of morning conversations and keyboard clicks had been replaced by an eerie quietness, punctuated only by the sound of nervous footsteps and hushed whispers. Her colleagues' faces reflected the same apprehension she felt growing in her chest, their usual confident strides now tentative and uncertain. The new CEO, Mr. Harrison, stood at the front of the room, his polished dress shoes tapping impatiently against the tiled floor. His presence commanded attention, though not in the warm, approachable way their previous leaders had. Margaret took her seat among her team members, exchanging worried glances with Sarah, who had been her mentee for over a decade. The room filled quickly, yet the atmosphere remained tense, like storm clouds gathering before a summer downpour. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat, his voice cutting through the room with clinical precision. Effective immediately, he began without preamble, "We will be dissolving the client relations department." The words hit Margaret like a physical blow, stealing the breath from her lungs. Around her, gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by stunned silence. 18 years of institutional knowledge, countless successful client relationships, and decades of collective experience, gone in a single sentence. Her mind raced as Harrison continued speaking about streamlining operations and cost-cutting measures, but the words blurred together in a haze of disbelief. She glanced around the room, watching as colleagues who had become family absorbed the shock. Some sat frozen in their chairs, others buried their faces in their hands, and a few had already begun quietly packing up their personal belongings. The weight of 18 years suddenly felt unbearably heavy, pressing down on her shoulders like an invisible force. Margaret's eyes caught those of Robert, the department's longest-serving member, who had trained her during her first week on the job. His usually kind eyes were glassy with unshed tears, and she realized she wasn't the only one struggling to process this abrupt termination. The irony wasn't lost on her. After nearly 2 decades of loyal service, she was being asked to leave without even the courtesy of cleaning out her desk properly. The company handbook, which she knew inside and out, seemed to mock her from her briefcase, its policies about proper termination procedures now meaningless scraps of paper. As Harrison wrapped up his announcement with cold efficiency, Margaret's thoughts turned to the countless hours she'd poured into this company. The late nights preparing presentations, the weekends spent mentoring new hires, the innovative programs she developed that had become industry standards, all reduced to nothing more than a line item in someone's spreadsheet of expenses. Her fingers tightened around the edge of her chair as she fought to maintain her composure, knowing that breaking down in front of her colleagues would only make this nightmare worse. The reality of unemployment at 57 years old settled over her like a leaden blanket. Who would hire her now? Where would she go from here? These questions swirled in her mind as she mechanically gathered her things, her movements automatic yet detached, like watching herself in a dream. The office that had been her second home for nearly half her life now felt foreign and hostile, its familiar walls closing in around her as she walked toward the exit for the last time. Margaret's journey home that afternoon felt surreal, each traffic light and familiar street corner serving as cruel reminders of how drastically her world had changed in mere hours. As she pulled into her driveway, the sight of her carefully tended garden brought fresh waves of emotion. The flowers she had nurtured with such care mirrored the career she had cultivated with equal dedication, both now seemingly irrelevant in the face of sudden unemployment. Inside her house, the silence pressed heavily against her ears. The absence of her work routine created a vacuum that threatened to consume her thoughts entirely. The following weeks became a blur of sleepless nights and restless days. Each morning, she would wake automatically at her usual time, reaching instinctively for the alarm clock that no longer needed setting. The empty hours stretched before her like an endless void, filled only by the hollow echo of her own footsteps throughout the house. Her daily ritual of brewing coffee and checking emails transformed into aimless wandering between rooms, her mind replaying Harrison's words in an endless loop. The financial implications loomed large. Her retirement savings, carefully built over 18 years, now seemed woefully inadequate when faced with potentially years of unemployment at her age. Yet, amidst this turmoil, Margaret discovered something unexpected within herself. The initial shock gradually gave way to a simmering determination she hadn't felt since her early career days. Late one night, while sorting through old work files, she stumbled upon folders containing projects she had championed but never fully realized due to corporate constraints. There was the community outreach initiative she had designed 5 years ago, shelved because it didn't align with short-term profit goals. The mentorship program she had envisioned for young professionals remained incomplete, its potential impact still untapped. These unfinished ideas sparked something deep within her, a realization that perhaps her dismissal wasn't just a tragedy, but an opportunity. She began spending her days differently, methodically cataloging these abandoned projects and analyzing what had prevented their success under Coldwell and Associates. The freedom from corporate bureaucracy allowed her to view them with fresh eyes, identifying weaknesses and opportunities she had previously overlooked. Her dining room table became command central, covered with notebooks, market research printouts, and flowcharts connecting various concepts. The fear of unemployment slowly transformed into excitement about possibilities. What if she could bring these ideas to life on her terms? Each small victory in her planning brought renewed energy. When she successfully navigated a complex business registration process online, she celebrated with a dance around the kitchen. Completing her first professional website design filled her with pride she hadn't felt in years. The more she worked on developing her vision, the more she realized how much of her creativity had been suppressed by corporate limitations. Her former position, once viewed as the pinnacle of her career, now appeared as merely a stepping stone to something greater. Financial concerns still lingered, but they no longer paralyzed her. Instead, they fueled her determination to create something sustainable and meaningful. She began reaching out to former colleagues, many of whom had expressed similar frustrations about unrealized potential during their tenure at Coldwell and Associates. Their enthusiastic responses surprised her. Several expressed interest in collaborating, sharing skills and resources to build something new. These conversations revealed a network of talent and expertise that had been lying dormant, waiting for the right opportunity to flourish. Margaret found herself waking earlier each day, not out of habit but from genuine excitement about the work ahead. The house that had once felt like a prison now vibrated with creative energy. Her garden, once a source of sadness, became a metaphor for her new beginning, the plants continuing to grow and bloom despite changes in their environment. The emotional toll of her dismissal hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed into something powerful, a driving force propelling her toward a future she could shape herself. The turning point came unexpectedly during a routine visit to her local coffee shop. Margaret had established a pattern of working there several mornings a week, finding comfort in the gentle bustle of activity and the aroma of freshly ground beans. On this particular morning, she noticed a familiar face sitting at a corner table, the owner of a small marketing firm who had attended several of Coldwell and Associates' networking events. Their paths had crossed numerous times professionally, but they had never engaged in more than polite conversation. Their meeting proved serendipitous. As they discussed Margaret's situation, the conversation naturally evolved into an exchange of ideas about her nascent project. What started as casual discussion transformed into an intense brainstorming session, lasting well beyond their emptied coffee cups. By the end of their conversation, Margaret had secured not just a potential client but also a valuable advisor willing to guide her through the complexities of establishing her own consultancy. This encounter marked the beginning of a domino effect that would reshape her professional landscape in ways she could never have anticipated. Word of Margaret's departure and subsequent ventures spread quickly through her extensive professional network. Former colleagues reached out, offering support and collaboration opportunities. One by one, pieces fell into place as connections she had nurtured over 18 years revealed their true value. A retired executive from a competing firm offered to mentor her in business development, while a young tech entrepreneur provided crucial insights into digital transformation strategies. Each interaction added another layer to her growing enterprise, transforming what had begun as a solo endeavor into a collaborative network of expertise. Particularly significant was the response from Coldwell and Associates' former clients. Several high-profile companies contacted her directly, expressing disappointment about the department's dissolution and seeking her continued services independently. These weren't mere expressions of loyalty, they represented tangible business opportunities that validated her years of relationship building and trust establishment. The irony wasn't lost on her. Her former employer's decision to eliminate her department had inadvertently created a perfect storm of opportunity, as clients sought to retain the quality service they had come to expect. Perhaps most surprising was the reaction from her former colleagues. Rather than scattering to different corporations, many rallied around her emerging venture, seeing it as a chance to rebuild something better than what they had lost. They brought with them not just their skills but also their networks, creating a web of professional relationships that extended far beyond Caldwell and Associates' influence. Lunch meetings became strategy sessions, and casual coffee breaks transformed into collaborative workshops, each interaction strengthening the foundation of her growing enterprise. The momentum gained strength with each passing week. Industry contacts she had maintained through annual conferences and professional organizations began reaching out, curious about her new direction. Some offered partnerships, others potential investments, and many simply wanted to stay informed about her progress. The network she had thought might abandon her in her time of need instead rallied around her cause, providing everything from moral support to concrete business opportunities. Her dining room table, once covered with uncertainty and worry, now hosted detailed business plans and partnership agreements, each document representing another step forward in her journey. Margaret's transformation from displaced employee to burgeoning entrepreneur attracted attention beyond her immediate professional circle. Local business publications, always hungry for stories of resilience and reinvention, picked up on her journey. The first interview request came from a prominent business magazine, initially focusing on the shocking nature of her department's dissolution. However, as Margaret shared her story, the narrative shifted dramatically. Her articulate explanation of how corporate short-sightedness often stifled innovation resonated deeply with readers, particularly those who had experienced similar setbacks. The article, titled From Layoff to Leadership, How One Professional Turned Crisis into Opportunity, went viral within professional circles, sparking discussions about corporate culture and employee empowerment. Industry leaders, many of whom had known Margaret through various professional associations, began reaching out with invitations to speak at conferences and panel discussions. Her story served as a powerful case study in adaptability and leadership, drawing standing room-only crowds at events focused on professional development and organizational change. During these engagements, she shared not just her personal journey but also practical insights about fostering innovation in restrictive environments, building resilient professional networks, and recognizing opportunity in adversity. Her authenticity and hard-won wisdom struck a chord with audiences ranging from fresh graduates to seasoned executives. The media attention brought unexpected benefits beyond visibility. Venture capitalists and angel investors approached her with offers of funding, impressed by her strategic vision and proven track record. Professional organizations invited her to serve on advisory boards, while universities requested her participation in curriculum development for business programs. Each new connection expanded her influence, transforming her from a victim of corporate restructuring into a respected voice in professional development circles. The very qualities that had made her excel at Caldwell and Associates, her ability to build relationships, her commitment to professional growth, and her innovative thinking, now propelled her toward national recognition. These developments coincided with significant milestones in her new venture. As she formalized her business structure and began signing contracts with former clients, her story evolved from one of personal triumph to a broader narrative about the power of professional resilience. Industry publications regularly featured updates on her progress, documenting how her approach to client relations and team management challenged conventional corporate practices. Her methods, once constrained by bureaucratic limitations, now served as a model for other professionals seeking to innovate within traditional frameworks. The more she shared her experiences, the more she realized that her journey wasn't just about personal redemption. It was becoming a movement that inspired others to rethink their own professional paths and challenge outdated corporate norms. The months that followed brought a whirlwind of activity that tested Margaret's resolve and organizational skills. Her dining room had transformed into a makeshift office headquarters, where a growing team of former colleagues and new collaborators gathered daily to bring her vision to life. Each morning began with strategy sessions that stretched late into the evening, fueled by takeout containers and endless pots of coffee. The initial excitement of entrepreneurship quickly gave way to the harsh realities of running a business, securing funding, navigating legal requirements, and building infrastructure from scratch. Yet, with each challenge overcome, the foundation of her enterprise grew stronger. One of the most significant hurdles proved to be technology integration. While Caldwell and Associates had operated with state-of-the-art systems, Margaret discovered that implementing similar solutions independently required navigating a labyrinth of vendors, licenses, and compatibility issues. Her team spent weeks testing platforms, often working late into the night to ensure seamless operations. The financial strain became palpable as initial investments mounted, forcing difficult decisions about resource allocation. Every dollar spent on technology meant less available for marketing or personnel, creating a constant balancing act between immediate needs and long-term growth. Personnel management presented another complex challenge. Many former colleagues had joined her venture, bringing invaluable experience but also established working relationships that required careful navigation. Balancing roles and responsibilities among people who had known each other for years demanded delicate diplomacy. Some struggled with the transition from corporate stability to entrepreneurial uncertainty, requiring additional support and reassurance. Margaret found herself not just leading a business but also managing the emotional well-being of her team, helping them adjust to the new reality while maintaining productivity and morale. Client acquisition proved equally demanding. While several Caldwell and Associates clients had followed her, winning new business required proving her independent operations credibility. Competitors, quick to capitalize on her situation, spread rumors about her capabilities and questioned the stability of her new venture. She invested heavily in marketing efforts, attending industry events and hosting informational sessions to establish her brand's legitimacy. The pressure to secure contracts intensified as operational costs mounted, creating a cycle of stress that tested her leadership abilities daily. Amid these challenges, unexpected opportunities emerged. A major corporation, frustrated with traditional consulting firms' rigid approaches, approached her with a unique proposal. They sought innovative solutions to client engagement problems, precisely the type of challenge her team had been constrained from addressing at Caldwell and Associates. The project's scope and complexity exceeded anything she had managed before, requiring rapid scaling of operations and accelerated development of proprietary methodologies. While daunting, this opportunity represented validation of her vision and a chance to demonstrate her team's capabilities on a larger stage. Technical issues compounded these challenges, particularly when their primary client management system crashed during a critical presentation. The incident forced a complete overhaul of their technological infrastructure, delaying several key initiatives. Financial constraints meant implementing temporary workarounds while fundraising for permanent solutions, adding another layer of complexity to daily operations. Team members worked tirelessly to maintain service quality despite these setbacks, their dedication becoming a testament to the strong bonds formed during their Caldwell and Associates days. These obstacles, while formidable, also revealed the strength of Margaret's network. Former clients became advocates, referring new business and providing testimonials. Professional contacts she had cultivated over years stepped forward with advice, resources, and sometimes direct assistance. The very challenges threatening to overwhelm her operation simultaneously demonstrated the power of authentic professional relationships, transforming her venture into a community-driven effort rather than a solitary endeavor. Each solved problem added another layer of resilience to her organization, proving that the sum of their collective experience was greater than any individual challenge they faced. As autumn leaves began painting the landscape in vibrant hues, Margaret's venture reached a pivotal phase that would test every aspect of her new identity as an entrepreneur. The culmination of months of preparation manifested in a series of simultaneous developments that would define her professional resurrection. Her team had grown to 25 members, occupying a converted warehouse space that buzzed with creative energy. The open floor plan, adorned with whiteboards filled with ideas and color-coded project timelines, reflected the dynamic nature of their operation. Clients moved through the space, engaging in collaborative sessions that often lasted well beyond regular business hours, their enthusiasm infectious and validating. A major milestone approached, the launch of their flagship product, a comprehensive client engagement platform that incorporated features Caldwell and Associates had consistently rejected as too innovative or risky. This platform represented more than just a technical achievement, it embodied the collective knowledge and frustration of years spent working within corporate limitations. Each feature addressed specific pain points identified through countless client interactions, refined through rigorous testing with beta partners who had eagerly signed on after hearing about the project through industry channels. The anticipation surrounding the launch generated significant buzz, with industry publications scheduling features and competitors scrambling to understand how this newcomer had developed such advanced capabilities so quickly. Simultaneously, Margaret prepared for a keynote address at the annual National Business Innovation Conference, an invitation that carried profound significance. The same event where she had once represented Caldwell and Associates as a senior coordinator would now see her taking the main stage as a pioneering entrepreneur. Her speech, titled Breaking Free, innovation beyond corporate constraints, promised to share not just her story but also practical insights about fostering creativity in traditionally restrictive environments. Conference organizers reported unprecedented registration numbers, with attendees traveling from across the country to hear her message. The irony of presenting at the same venue where her former boss had once showcased Caldwell and Associates' innovative approaches wasn't lost on her. Financially, the venture approached a crucial juncture. Initial seed funding had sustained operations through the challenging startup phase, but securing Series A investment became imperative for scaling effectively. Multiple venture capital firms had expressed interest, conducting due diligence that involved deep dives into their operational metrics, client satisfaction scores, and market positioning. These negotiations occurred against the backdrop of preparing for their largest client implementation yet, a Fortune 500 company that had chosen their solution over established competitors, citing its revolutionary approach to client relationship management. The pressure mounted as technical teams worked around the clock to customize the platform while marketing prepared for the official product launch. The convergence of these developments created an atmosphere of controlled chaos. Team members rotated through shifts, ensuring coverage across multiple time zones as international partnerships took shape. The warehouse space transformed into a command center, with monitors displaying real-time data from beta tests, social media sentiment analysis, and customer feedback loops. Margaret moved through this orchestrated madness with a calm authority that surprised even herself, her years of crisis management experience finally free to operate without corporate handcuffs. Each challenge overcome added another layer of credibility to their operation, transforming what had begun as a personal mission into a movement that resonated throughout the industry. Crucially, the professional network she had painstakingly built over 18 years proved its worth daily. Former colleagues now leading departments at competitor firms discreetly shared market intelligence. Industry veterans offered strategic advice during late-night phone calls. Even some Caldwell and Associates executives, witnessing the success of her venture, reached out with congratulatory messages and potential partnership opportunities. This web of support, strengthened by shared experiences and mutual respect, created a protective buffer around her growing enterprise, allowing it to navigate challenges with remarkable resilience. As the launch date approached, the air crackled with anticipation. Media requests flooded in, client inquiries multiplied, and team members worked with feverish intensity. The warehouse space, once silent except for the hum of computers, now buzzed with purposeful activity. Every aspect of their operation, from technical infrastructure to marketing campaigns, had been meticulously prepared. Yet beneath the surface efficiency lay the raw emotion of a journey that had transformed pain into possibility, rejection into revolution, and loss into leadership. The culmination of these efforts would soon reveal whether Margaret's vision had truly created something transformative or if the weight of expectation would prove too great to bear. As the launch day arrived, Margaret stood before her team, the weight of 18 years of experience and resilience fueling her resolve. The platform launched successfully, the keynote speech earned a standing ovation, and the series of funding was secured. Her journey, from being discarded by Caldwell and Associates to becoming an industry trailblazer, proved that sometimes, endings are just beginnings in disguise. With her network stronger than ever and her vision fully realized, Margaret smiled, knowing she had turned adversity into triumph. The future was no longer something to fear, it was hers to shape.